All right. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay getting started there. Welcome back to another Classic Comics live stream. What do we got on the docket tonight? So, there's a lot of Disney news, of course, coming out of the Disney investor call this week to talk about. So, I'll be covering Disney. They're creating a new AI division. They're using AI to duplicate background actors without their knowledge or permission. They're raising prices on Disney Plus, of course, and some other things. Also, for Warner Brothers, we'll talk a little about Wonder Woman 3 and whether that's happening or not, because apparently it looks like it might not be. And then, of course, we've got rumors that the Ayer cut might actually be coming out as well. And then on top of that, there's this whole issue with the WGA strike. We've got this whole issue of what's called interim agreements. And the upshot is that these interim agreements are going to let striking actors work anyway. And of course, that's kind of undermine the writers, and they're not happy about that. So let me see. I can bring that up here. Let me find that. Let me. Okay, I guess this one will do. Uh, maybe let me check this, make sure it's covering the right thing here. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think this one will do it. So let me bring this up. This is from what, Variety? So let me share that. Okay. So Sarah Silverman slams actors for working under SAG indie interim agreements, claiming that it's scabbing, which, it's kind of hard to argue or disagree with her on that. Sarah Silverman has seen the so called SAG waivers, and she is not a fan. In a recent video posted to Instagram, the comedian slash actor slammed fellow Hollywood stars for continuing to film independent SAG after approved projects under interim agreements as actors and writers remain on strike. Quote, can somebody explain to me what I'm not understanding? Because I'm pissed off. And I know I just must not be understanding something, Silverman said at the start of her video posted Thursday night. In her nearly 3 minute long spiel, Silverman expressed her anger towards SAG AFTRA members for shooting indie movies despite those titles having received permission from the union itself, which allow selected independent films to continue production. Silverman argued that while they are being produced by independent companies, the films will eventually head to streaming where big streamers will reap the benefits. Quote, I got offered an indie movie and I said no, and so did a bunch of my friends, she continued. And now some of my friends are saying yes. I'm really pissed. It's called Union Strong, where we are all together, added Silverman, whose last major role was voicing Vanellope von Schweetz in the 2018 animated film Ralph Breaks the Internet. We should see every movie star out there striking along because you have insurance because of your union, she said, and you get residuals because of your union. All these things that you get because of your union, and you don't stand with your union. She ended the video by saying, so I don't know if I'm mad at these movie stars that are making these indie movies that are obviously going to go to streaming, or am I mad at SAG for making this interim deal for these indie movies? Fellow actors were quick to respond to Silverman's rant underneath her post. Quote, call me an idealist, but my hope is that there is a big mid range indie movie renaissance that goes into theaters that are not waiting to be sold to streamers, wrote Juliette Lewis in a comment. Quote, my brother, who is a laborer, I would love him to work on an independent production. A bunch of my friends in other states have had their unemployment checks run out. So if there's movie productions that are not going to streamers, I'm for it for my crew and family. And another comment, Zoe Deschanel wrote, I think we are striking certain particular contractual agreements with the AMPTP, not all work. While Amy Sedaris gave Silverman a right on, and Ike Barnolds chimed in with an amen sis. To get an interim agreement, productions must be independent of the AMPTP and also agree to the most recent terms offered by SAG-AFTRA in bargaining. SAG-AFTRA has stressed that the agreements thus should not be considered waivers. Basically, what it boils down to is that not all actors are striking. Some are still working. And so they're still getting paid, and still paying their bills. And while the vast majority are getting screwed. And, I can't say I'm really surprised. Because at the end of the day, the top 1% of Hollywood or whatever, they're very used to getting preferential treatment, getting their own way, even more so than like mid-range actors or actresses. And so, in their minds, this is probably just normal. Of course, I get to keep working. I'm a star. Why shouldn't I keep working? And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effect this has on the solidarity of actors going forward as some of them start, have difficulty paying their bills and paying their mortgages and that sort of thing. All right. Let me Now, what do we look at next here? Okay, why don't I look at where's that article on the air cut? I wanted to talk about that. Let me look here. Where is the darn thing? Okay, here we go. So this is another variety. I've got a lot of variety articles this time around. Let me bring this up. Okay, so David Ayer says James Gunn told me the Suicide Squad Ayer cut would have its time to be shared. David Ayer. Okay, can I get rid of this? How do I get rid of this? Okay, well, can I just, there. All right. So David Ayer's keeping hope alive for his Suicide Squad director's cut, dubbed the Ayer cut, on social media. In a recent post on X, it's still weird calling it X, the director informed his fans that new DC studio boss James Gunn told him that the Ayer cut, quote, would have its time to be shared, unquote. Ayer provided no further information. Warner Brothers and Gunn's representative did not respond to Variety's request for comment. Quote, what's your advice on how to navigate this situation with grace? Ayer posted in response to a user who questioned why he was still promoting his version of Suicide Squad 7 years after the film's release. There's a genuine curiosity and interest from a lot of people, and I'm aware there's another group of people that have fun mocking the film. Your comment is a perfect example of how many are magnetically drawn to a 2016 film in a negative way. Have you ever had an experience in life that didn't uh, until the way you wanted? I think it means didn't work out the way you wanted, that dragged you, that made you rethink everything. I have. All I know is my unseen film plays much better than the studio release. Ayer continued. The interest in my cut being shown seems real and organic, and Gunn told me it would have its time to be shared. He absolutely deserves to launch his DC universe without more drama about old projects. In a way, I'm chained to this thing. I'm riding a tiger here and navigating this situation the best I can. Life is a strange journey. Ayer has been outspoken for years about how the Suicide Squad cut Warner Brothers released in August 2016 was not his preferred version of the film. Ayer's movie, which critics widely lambasted when it opened in theaters, starred Will Smith and introduced Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I can put my life into Suicide Squad, or I put my life into Suicide Squad. I made something amazing. The studio cut is not my movie, Ayer said in July of 2021. Read that again. And my cut is not the 10-week director's cut. It's a fully mature edit by Lee Smith, standing on the incredible work done by John Gilroy. It's all Stephen Price's brilliant score, with not a single radio song in the whole thing. It has traditional character arcs, amazing performances, a solid third act resolution. A handful of people have seen it. Someone who says they have seen it, they haven't. When Warner Brothers agreed to release Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League on HBO Max after years of fans urging the studio, Ayer rallied his followers to call for Suicide Squad Ayer cut. James Gunn directed his own Suicide Squad, which Warner Brothers released in 2021 prior to hiring him and Peter Safran to take over DC Studios and overhaul its DC universe. Ayer previously called Gunn's take on the material brilliant. Some of Ayer's cast, including Will Smith, have supported him in his efforts to get the Ayer cut released. Let me tell you, there's a whole lot that stayed on the floor for Suicide Squad, Will Smith told Variety's Mark Malkin last year. I'm into it. I love that world. I love what was created in both versions. I would absolutely love to see it. So, I mean, oh, hey, Masters Maniac Mexico. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Always good to see you. All right. So, I mean, as far as the Ayer cut, I mean, I am kind of sanguine on it. I wouldn't mind seeing his version, but I don't really expect it to ever get released. And if it doesn't, I mean, I'm okay with that too. The Suicide Squad movie, that was released, the first one, it's okay-ish. There are things about it that I like. Overall, it's kind of disappointing. Part of it is just the final act where they fight, basically fight a demon. It's kind of not generally what the Suicide Squad did. Generally you want them, I think, fighting more kind of real world opponents like, terrorist organizations and stuff like that. But it was okay. I could take it or leave it. As far as it actually happening, I don't know. Is Gunn just stringing him along? That's entirely possible. It could be that they'll release it somewhere down the line as like an Elseworlds thing, because they have already floated the idea of Elseworlds releases, like the Batman, the Matt Reeves, the Batman movie and sequels. Those will be Elseworlds and not the main DCU, quote unquote. So we'll see. If it is released, I would probably like to catch it and give it a look. All right. And speaking of things that aren't going to be part of the DCU, so let me bring this one up. This is another Variety article, isn't it? Yeah, I believe it is. So recently, Gal Gadot teased that Wonder Woman 3 might be happening and that it was in development, that she was working with James Gunn. And after she did that, apparently the studio has pushed back and said, So Wonder Woman 3 won't fly in new DCU universe despite Gal Gadot, I keep forgetting how to pronounce her name, teasing development plans. Is a third Wonder Woman movie on the way from Warner Brothers and DC Studios? Not quite. Despite recent comments from Gal Gadot claiming DC heads James Gunn and Peter Safran told her they would develop Wonder Woman 3 together, sources with knowledge of the situation tell Variety that is not the case. According to the sources, a third Wonder Woman film is not in development at DC Studios, nor do Gunn and Safran have plans at this time for any Wonder Woman project in the new DC universe other than their previously announced Paradise Lost prequel series for Max. And aren't we all looking forward to that? What are they? Give us a Wonder Woman a series without Wonder Woman. That's what we want. Just like, a Gotham show without Batman. That's what we all want. Gadot first suggested that Wonder Woman 3 might not be fully dead in an interview with comicbook.com. Quote, I love portraying Wonder Woman, she said. It's so close to and dear to my heart. From what I heard from James and from Peter, is that we're going to develop a Wonder Woman 3 together. The actor made a potential future for Wonder Woman appear even more likely during a recently published profile by Flaunt magazine. In this interview, Gadot said she was assured by Gunn and Safran that Wonder Woman 3 would be developed. I was invited to a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran, Gadot said, and what they told me, and I'm quoting, quote, you're in the best hands. We're going to develop Wonder Woman 3 with you. We love you as Wonder Woman. You've got nothing to worry about, unquote. So time will tell. Uh-huh. The sources added to Variety that nothing was ever promised to Gadot regarding Wonder Woman 3, nor was there any definitive discussion of Gadot's Wonder Woman continuing with the new DC universe. Gunn and Safran gave a presentation at the start of the year, unveiling the first titles in their new DC universe, including Superman Legacy, and they continue to be laser focused on these new films. Variety has reached out to Gadot's representative for further comment. Um, okay, and then they just talk about her history in the role and the movies she's done. Last December, news broke that Wonder Woman 3 had fallen apart after Warner Brothers leadership passed on Jenkins's treatment for the sequel. Jenkins publicly exited the project. The news hit shortly after Gunn and Safran took the reins of DC Studios and announced they would be overhauling the DC universe, which led to speculation that Jenkins had rebuffed efforts to reshape Wonder Woman 3 to fit into their DC universe. Quote, I never walked away, Jenkins shared in a post on Twitter. I was open to considering anything asked of me. It was my understanding there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. DC is obviously buried in changes they are having to make, so I understand these decisions are difficult right now. Unquote. Roughly an hour after Jenkins posted her statement, Gunn supported her on Twitter, replying, quote, I can attest that all of Peter and my interactions with you were only pleasant and professional, unquote. Back in January, when Gunn and Safran met with press to unveil the first chapter of their new DC universe, dubbed Gods and Monsters, they announced the only Wonder Woman related project that's currently in development. That's Paradise Lost, a prequel series for Max. The show, which Safran described as a Games of Thrones ish story, is set on the island of Themyscira before the birth of Wonder Woman. It's really about the political intrigue behind a society of all women, Safran added about the project. Gadot's recent comments on Wonder Woman 3 were made before the SAG after strike during her promotional tour for the Netflix spy thriller Heart of Stone. So, this really has echoes of what happened with Cavill, doesn't it? Where he was kind of lured back to do that a cameo in Black Adam, and it was kind of floated that there would be another Superman movie. And then at the last minute, it was like, nope, not doing it. And I think it was largely because Black Adam just bombed so badly. If that had been a hit, I think there might have been a chance that would happen. But this feels very similar, where they seem to have maybe said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this with you. We'll do this film with you," and then, and then when the actor goes public and says, oh yeah, we're gonna do this project. We're gonna do another sequel, and then the studio says, no, 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 that's not happening. Lord Thoth, hail, my friend. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for stopping by. Always good to have you. So, will this ever happen? I'm guessing no. I don't think it ever will. Whatever they told her, my guess is they're just placating her, and maybe just kind of uh, trying to mollify her so she's not going out and on social media and being negative, and maybe trashing them. I don't know. But I don't think that her Wonder Woman's going to be returning. And I mean, honestly, let's face it, it's kind of like with Cavill. I mean, the clock is ticking. And if you get 5, 6 years out, I mean, they're really kind of getting probably a little too old for it. But, all things are possible, I guess. I mean, we didn't think the Snyder cut would get ever see the light of day, and it did. But I wouldn't hold my breath on her ever being back as Wonder Woman. All right. What are we gonna do next here? Lord Thaw says, I think she honestly thought she was getting another Wonder Woman. Yeah, I think she did too. I think she believed that was really going to happen. But I think she's kind of getting played a bit by Gunn. I'd say at this point it's beginning to get difficult to believe anything that Gunn says because so much of what he said, it's either he's contradicted it or someone else has come out and contradicted it and said no, that's not happening, or no, we're not doing that. So I don't know. Lorthoth, I didn't actually like that casting. So that you didn't like Gadot as Wonder Woman? Is that what you mean? I thought she was quite good myself. Um, and I mean, I think, and I always thought part of the reason I think she got it is because as an Israeli, she had to do mandatory military service, right? They have a draft over there. And so she's been through, a level of training and had some experiences that your typical model turned actress in Hollywood has never had. And I think that probably played a big part of it. And I think it served her well. I think she did a good job of projecting the kind of I think compassion and empathy that Diana had, but while also the strength that Diana has. And I thought overall she did quite a good job. All right. Let's go ahead and trash Disney for a while, shall we? Because we got plenty of Disney stories. Let me bring this one up here, and this is from CBR. WandaVision extras say they were scanned by Disney for AI replicas without permission. Background actors on Disney. By the way, Lototh, who do you think would be? Who would you choose for Wonder Woman? Did you have someone else in mind? I got to say, the George Miller. They had that Wonder Woman or Wonder Woman, that Justice League film that was in development for a while back in like the 2000s. And I think that they were maybe gonna do, if it was gonna follow on the Superman Returns and the Green Lantern movie, I think. And obviously that wound up not happening. But the actress that they were looking at for that, she's Australian, and she's also like a former model, but she's quite tall. She's like 5'10", and I mean physically, she's great. I mean, she would be almost ideal to play Diana. Of course, I mean she would then. She's probably getting a little too old now, but I remember looking at some pictures of her and thought, wow. I mean, she's from a physical standpoint, she'd be a perfect fit. I haven't really seen her act in much of anything, so I can't speak to her, how good she is. She was actually in Fury Road. She had a little bit part in Fury Road. I think she was, if you, I forget what's, when they're driving in the desert, they come and there's like this tower and there's a woman like chained on it, and Max is like, no, this is a trap. She's bait to lure us into a trap. I think that the woman who is chained to the tower, that's her. Lord Thaw says Diana needs to be 6 foot plus. I mean, yeah, I mean, you could do that. Um, I'm not sure if that's even her official height, though. I think she's like maybe 5'10" officially in the comics. But I mean, how many actresses are there that are that tall? There's just not many. And you'd be hard pressed to find someone who's going to be that tall. And besides, you can always, if it's a question of height, you can always have them wear heels, right? I mean, that's what Gadot did. She's Wonder Woman and she's wearing like 5-inch heels so that she won't be standing next to, these huge dudes like Jason Momoa and Ben Affleck and Ray Fisher and Cavill and look like a toddler, and look like a kid. Of course, then in the first Wonder Woman movie, when she gets to London, there's a scene where she has to put on heels and she's like, tottering around on her heels like she can't wear them and it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, you wear heels higher than that already anyway. What's the problem? Thaw says, I think her official height is 6 foot. Is it? Maybe it is. I'll take your word for it. Silver Age, she's 5'9", now 6 foot, I think. Okay. All right, but anyway, getting back to this, yeah, Wanda Vision extras say they were scanned by Disney for AI replicas without permission. So, a background actor from Marvel Studios' Disney Plus series WandaVision accused Disney of the unauthorized use of AI during the production. In a report from NPR, several actors who worked on the Disney Plus series WandaVision came forward with stories about Disney and Marvel's use of AI technology. One such actor, Alexandria Rubalcaba, I guess that's how you say it, Rubalcaba, shared her experience about the actors having their bodies and faces scanned without their knowledge or consent. According to Rubicala, she and dozens of other background extras were brought to a trailer on set where their faces were scanned and recorded. And I guess this is her here in this tweet. Quote, have your hands out, have your hands in. Look this way, look that way. Let us see your scared face. Let us see your surprised face. Show me your war face. Rubicaba recalled regarding the instructions she was given by the crew. What if I don't want to be on Mario Vision or Sarah Vision? I fear that AI is eventually going to weed out background actors. They won't have any use for us anymore. Unquote. Oh, hey, Brian Hepburn. Thank you for stopping by, man. It's good to see you. Would help to know when these meetings between Gunn and Godot happened. I mean, the impression you get is it was fairly recent, but I mean, I don't know. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. She mentioned this in an interview fairly recently. So I guess it could be that Gunn told her these things back like towards the end of last year when they were taking over. When Jenkins kind of walked away. That may have been when it happened. So maybe months ago. Okay. According to Rubalcaba, none of these actors were informed about the purpose or usage of these scans, whether their digital replicas would be featured on screen or if they would receive any compensation. I can tell you the answer no. Rubalcaba and the other actors were paid the standard SAG after a union rate for their work on WandaVision, but they claimed that they were never given the option to consent to the use of their digital replicas. NPR's report states similar stories from many other background actors dating back several years, leading up to the recent SAG AFTRA strike. Oh yeah, and this WandaVision Steelbook. I want to talk about that for a bit. I'll wait on that. So these scams are allegedly used to create AI digital replicas of the actors, raising concerns about the potential replacement of performers in the entertainment industry. Quote, imagine ballroom scenes, party scenes, any scenes that need tons of extras, said Andrew Suskind, an associate professor at Drexel University's Film and TV department. Imagine the amounts of money they would be saving, not paying everyone $180 a day, plus meals, plus costuming. He added, quote, the actors, extras, and the writers are right to see this as their best chance to set up what the rules should be in the use of AI. And the people in the background who tend to have no real power and are treated badly should be standing up for themselves here, unquote. The use of AI technology to replace actors and writers is a significant part of the ongoing WGA and SAG AFTRA strikes. As of May 2023, negotiations failed between the WGA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers over the concerns of AI technology and AI generated content. So, yeah, I mean, obviously they're using the AI to create background extras and then uh, not paying them. I mean, it's pretty obvious. And again, this is part of why they're striking, and I understand it because they're a lot of actors, especially in the coming years, their livelihoods are going to be very much threatened by AI. And it's a very real concern. In fact, speaking on this, let me just go ahead and bring up the next article here because this is also regarding AI and Disney. Okay, so this is from Collider. So Disney creates task force to explore generative AI tech and cost-cutting measures. The move will not play well with the striking writers and actors across the country. Yeah, probably not. Okay, so the Walt Disney Company has initiated a dedicated team to delve into the realm of artificial intelligence and its potential applications throughout its expansive entertainment empire. This comes amidst ongoing strikes involving the Hollywood writers and actors who aim to limit what they see as the technology's dangerous and growing influence within the industry. Commencing earlier this year, prior to the Hollywood strike, this task force is actively exploring internal AI development avenues and forging partnerships with emerging startups. The company's desire to expand into the world of AI and by design cost cutting presents 11 open job positions that specifically seek individuals proficient in artificial intelligence and machine learning. These job opportunities span a wide spectrum within Disney, encompassing divisions ranging from Walt Disney Studios and the inventive unit Walt Disney Imagineering to Disney's theme parks, television ventures, and the advertising sector. It's worth noting that the ad team appears to be pursuing the ability to craft an AI powered ad system termed Next Generation, as detailed in the descriptions of these job openings. Disney's growing interest in expanding their use of AI comes hot on the heels of the news that the company was hiring for an R&D Imagineering position that requires expertise in generative AI, indicating their unfortunate interest in seeing how far they can take the potential of AI tools. The company came under fire for debuting their limited series Secret Invasion and trumpeting the opening titles, which had been created using AI in the midst of a strike designed to highlight the fact that AI was taking jobs from skilled workers. As the entertainment industry explores the integration of artificial intelligence into production processes, a parallel struggle is unfolding as actors and writers advocate for their rights. The long-standing issue of inadequate residuals for movies and TV shows persists, offering unacceptable compensation to the very individuals who contributed to the triumph of these projects. I'm not sure how many Disney shows in the last year or so have been triumphs, but okay, whatever. The impact of the strike has been significant, causing disruptions in various projects at Disney, such as the production of Deadpool 3, Thunderbolts, and Blade. As the impasse continues, both studios and unions find themselves entrenched in the same positions established before the breakdown of pre strike negotiations. This unfortunately prevailing status quo is continuing to cast a vast shadow of uncertainty across the entertainment industry as the workers strike to earn what is rightfully theirs: fair treatment, equitable pay, and respect. Um, I mean, look, obviously, they should get fair treatment, equitable pay, and respect. I don't begrudge them that. But it really kind of grates on me when they refer to them as workers. I mean, they're actors, and writers, and this is one thing that they keep doing is they keep referring to themselves as labor, and obviously trying to conflate themselves with like blue collar workers who are, working in construction or in coal mines or something like that. When, I mean, they're working in an office tapping on a keyboard. They're not labor in the traditional sense of the word. Okay. Let me let me look at that. Where's that? Let me find that. Okay. We'll just go ahead and move on here. So now the Disney investor call was this week. And a lot of interesting news came out of it. Now, one of the things is the subscriber losses that they've had over the recent quarter. And again, this is from Variety. Let me bring that one up. Okay, so Disney Plus and Hotstar sheds 12.5 million subscribers in fiscal quarter three amid strategy shift. Streaming losses narrow. All right, so the Walt Disney Company saw its streaming losses narrow in the second quarter amid an exodus of 12.5 million subscribers from its Disney Plus Hotstar streaming platform in India. For the quarter, Disney exceeded Wall Street targets on earnings per share but missed on revenue. The Mouse reported total revenue of 22.3 billion, up 4% from the quarter a year ago, and operating income of 3.6 billion, down 6%. And again, I don't claim to be an expert, but my understanding is that part of the reason they've been able to post a profit is because of all the cuts they've done, all the cutting of jobs, cutting projects, writing off the Disney the Star Cruiser, the Galactic Star Cruiser, that sort of thing. They've basically been slashing uh, things in order to help get them down to a profitability, and it worked. It has worked, but obviously they can't keep cutting forever. Let's see where. Okay, so Disney executives warned Wall Street that subscriber losses were coming for the Disney Plus Hotstar service amid a strategy shift to move away from the low margin subscribers. The loss of key sports rights in the region also set the stage for a significant churn on the Hotstar front. Losses in the direct to consumer unit were cut in half compared to the same period last year. DTC operations delivered a $512 million loss compared to $1 billion in the same frame in 2022. Operating income for Disney's linear networks sank 23% to 1.9 billion on revenue of 6.7 billion, down 6%. Revenue for Disney's parks, experiences, and products arm was up 13% to 8.3 billion, and operating income gained 11% to 2.4 billion. Disney notched a gain of 800,000 subscribers in other parts of the world. In the US and Canada, Disney Plus lost 300,000 subscribers, while the streaming only site of Hulu gained about that same number. Quote, our results this quarter are reflective of what we've accomplished through the unprecedented transformation we're undertaking at Disney to restructure the company, improve efficiencies, and restore creativity to the center of our business, said Disney CEO Bob Iger. In the 8 months since my return, these important changes are creating a more cost effective, coordinated, and streamlined approach to our operations that has put us back on track to exceed our initial goal of 5.5 billion in savings, as well as improved our direct to consumer operating income by roughly 1 billion in just 3 quarters. While there is still more to do, I'm incredibly confident in Disney's long term trajectory because of the work we've done, the team we now have in place, and because of Disney's core foundation of creative excellence and popular brands and franchises. On a conference call with Wall Street analyst, Iger made it clear that Disney is refocused on, quote, rationalizing the volume of content that we make, what we spend, and what markets we invest in, unquote. Planning for the streaming future nonetheless means finding economies designed to deliver significant and sustained profitability, he said. The labor conflict that has Hollywood in a state of paralysis has delivered a short term boost for Disney's larger cost cutting goals. Kevin Lansbury, Disney's newly appointed chief financial officer, told analysts that content spending for the company's fiscal 2023 will come in at 27 billion, or about 3 billion less than forecast, in part because of the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. All right. So again, I think he mentions that they're going to be more careful and try to be more efficient in terms of what they create in terms of content. And let me see if I can find, there was a I was thinking, okay, yeah, here we go. So part of getting back to profit, because I mentioned losses, right? I mentioned that they're cutting jobs, cutting departments, and shutting down like the Galactic Star Cruiser and other things. But they are also raising prices. So let me bring an article up on that. This is again from Variety. Okay. Price of Disney Plus and Hulu premium plans to get jacked up, but new Duo bundle will offer deep discounts. Okay. Disney, trying to swing its streaming businesses into the black, has set substantial price hikes for Disney Plus and Hulu standalone premium plans in the US, while also rolling out a heavily discounted Disney Plus Hulu ad free combo bundle. As of October 12th, Disney Plus Premium with no ads will jump 27%, rising from $10.99 to $13.99 a month for US customers. Hulu without ads will increase 20% from $14.99 to $17.99 per month. The price for Disney Plus and Hulu standalone ad supported tiers will remain at $7.99 per month each, and with the bundle of the two, still $9.99 per month. In addition, the monthly price of the two Hulu Live TV packages will each go up by $7 as of October 12th. The plan with ads increases to $76.99. The tier with no ads rises to $89.99. And the ESPN pricing will increase by $1 from $9.99 to $10.99 a month. Okay, internationally, the company is set to expand Disney Plus ad supported plans to Canada, the UK, and 8 other European countries beginning November 1st. The monthly pricing will be $7.99 in Canada, $4.99 in the UK, and $5.99 in the European markets, which is going to be France, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. According to Disney, in December 2023, it will increase subscription prices of Disney Plus without ads in those markets. Since launching the ad supported version of Disney Plus in the US in December 2020, the company has signed up 3.3 million customers for the plan, CEO Bob Iger said on the earnings call Wednesday. Iger also said that Disney will be exploring new ways of cracking down on password sharing and plans to, quote, roll out tactics sometime in 2024. He declined to quantify how spread the issue is, but said it was significant. Okay, Lord Thoth. You have a good weekend. Thanks for stopping by, man. Always appreciate it. For American customers, it's the second price hike in less than a year for Disney Plus Premium. After going up by $3 per month in December 2022, when the versions with ads debuted in the US, at $13.99 a month, it will have doubled from the original $6.99 month introductory price 4 years ago. The price of Hulu without ads last increased in October 2022. At the same time, Disney is aggressively trying to push customers into streaming bundles. Ahead of these price hikes, Disney on September 6th will launch a new ad-free bundled subscription plan with Disney Plus and Hulu for $19.99 a month, a 37% discount from the standalone plans. Iger has expressed his belief that Disney Plus's pricing has been, quote, way off. In May, he said the company would raise the price of Disney Plus Premium this year, quote, to better reflect the value of our content offerings. Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, because your content is so freaking great. Uh, get, ugh, shut up, Bob. Oh my God. He also said an integrated Hulu Disney Plus app experience is on deck for customers who take both services. Disney announced the streaming pricing and plan changes on its earning call Wednesday after reporting a mixed bag for the first 3 months into July 1st. Disney narrowed the operating loss in its direct-to-consumer streaming segment to 512 million, compared with 1.1 billion in the year-ago quarter, while revenue rose 9% to 5.5 billion. Other I'm sorry, overall, Disney Plus's subscriber count inched up by 800,000, an increase of 1% sequentially to 105.7 million, excluding Disney Plus Hotstar, which saw subs drop 24% after Disney lost IPL cricket rights. Oh, okay, so that's that's where the losses are coming from. You can't watch cricket anymore on Disney. In the US and Canada, Disney Plus shed about 300,000 customers to stand at 46 million. Hulu added 300,000 in the period to reach 44 million, and ESPN Plus was roughly flat at 25.2 million. The strong momentum of our ad supported plans in the US demonstrates the importance of providing consumers with choice, flexibility, and value. Joe Early, president of Direct to Consumer for Disney Entertainment, said in a statement. We are excited to expand that offering in more markets across the globe, including in Europe and Canada, and to launch a new premium duo bundle of ad free Disney Plus and Hulu this fall, as we take steps toward making extensive Hulu content available via Disney Plus later this year for bundle subscribers. Disney is expected to buy out Comcast's 33% stake in Hulu. Starting in January 2024, Disney can require Comcast to sell its stake in Hulu, and conversely, Comcast can force the sale. Comcast CEO Brian Roberts has indicated he's willing to make a deal, but said, quote, I'm pretty certain if and when we sell our Hulu stake, it will be for more than we have in it, than what we have in it. In other words, I ain't giving it away. Okay, so yeah, so I always thought this sort of thing was going to happen. You know, when Netflix first came out and they were, offering all this content for a very low price. Because what was the original price for Hulu or for Netflix? It was pretty cheap. What was it, like $5 a month or something? I don't even remember because I didn't sign up. I've never had Netflix, and part of it is because I always knew that this sort of thing was going to happen. Because especially if you remember early on, there were all these stories about all the money they were spending to produce content. You know, they were spending billions to produce all these shows, and I was like, they're not going to be able to keep offering this to people for $5 a month or whatever it was, and particularly with all the password sharing that was going on. I thought they're going to have to raise prices at some point, and I saw right away it was kind of like it's kind of like a drug dealer. You know how the drug dealers they'll give you the first sample for free. You're like, oh yeah, sure, here's a little crack, try it. Because they know you're going to come back and pay later, right? And I knew this low price was kind of an inducement to get people to sign up, and that then after a few years, after people have had it for a while and they're used to it, they're not going to want to give it up. So then later on, they'll start jacking up the prices and people will just keep paying. And so that's why I've long avoided streaming services for the most part. I've never had Netflix. Um, I have Amazon Prime. I wound up signing up for that. I didn't particularly want to, but it was offered to me, kind of with the shipping and everything. And I was like, okay, whatever, I guess. And I did have HBO Max for a couple of months back when the Snyder Cut came out. I got it to see the Snyder Cut, and then it was a couple of weeks after that, Kong versus Godzilla came out, so I kept it to see that, and then I got rid of it. And I don't have any other streaming services. And again, the whole thing with this password sharing and cracking down, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Interesting, of course, that they're doing all this stuff to bundle Hulu and Disney Plus together. And I think a big part of that is because when they first were hyping Disney Plus and first planning to roll it out and everything, there was this plan they were going to have how many subscribers? I forget the number, but they were promising investors a certain number of subscribers by 2024, I believe it was, or maybe 2025. And as it is, Disney Plus is not going to be able to do it, unless there's a huge turnaround in the rates of people signing up. And I'm pretty sure that their attempts to try and bundle Hulu and Disney Plus together into a single service is so that, once that's done with all the Disney subscribers plus the Hulu subscribers, they can then turn to their investors and say, see, we met the subscriber limit, the number that we promised. Okay, what are we going to do next here? Uh, okay, let's just talk about. Wait, what is this one? Okay, oh yeah, this one's interesting. So this is from, I think this is from Variety again. Yeah, so Marvel VFX artists vote to unionize. So we've been hearing for a while now, at least over a year, about how, and of course, a lot of people have noted the decline in the quality of the CGI in Disney's films, particularly in the Marvel films. And part of this is because their VFX artists have been overworked, really worked really hard, and also because of this just very chaotic method that Disney's studios have of producing content, with lots of rewrites, lots of reshoots. Things get shot and then they do the VFX and then they go back and want the VFX changed, maybe multiple times. Masters Maniac Mexico says, I never got any digital movie service, but I'm living in a country where trademarks and rights simply are non existent. Oh, well, that's cool. um, if that's, um, I don't know. I'm guessing it's gonna be what a country, maybe not America. Let me put it that way. Not America. All right. Visual VFX crews at Marvel Studios have voted to unionize. IATSE announced on Monday. A press release notes that a supermajority of Marvel's more than 50 worker crew had signed authorization cards indicating they wish to be represented by the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, or IATSE. Is that how you say it? Masters Minet Mexico says, I'm a German living in Mexico for 40. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I should have said Mexico, but I didn't want to assume. I didn't want to assume. That's cool. Let's see. For almost half a century, workers in the visual effects industry have been denied the same protections and benefits their co-workers and crewmates have relied upon since the beginning of the Hollywood film industry, said Mark Patch, VFX organizer for IATSE, in a statement announcing the filing. This is a historic first step for VFX workers coming together with a collective voice demanding respect for the work we do. And honestly, it's a little surprising this hasn't happened already when you think about it. The unionization effort marks the first time the VFX professionals have banded together in such a fashion, as this segment of the industry has largely remained non-union. IATSE represents more than 168,000 technicians, artisans, and craftspersons working in movies and TV. But while positions like production designer, art director, camera operators, sound editors, hair and makeup artists, costume, wardrobe, script supervisors, grip, lighting, props, and paint, among others, have historically been represented by IATSE, workers in VFX classifications historically have not. Added VFX coordinator Bella Huffman, turnaround times don't apply to us. Protected hours don't apply to us, and pay equity doesn't apply to us. Visual effects must become a sustainable and safe department for everyone who suffered far too long and for all newcomers who need to know they won't be exploited. The VFX artist decision also comes amid a wider wave of union activity this summer as writers and actors continue to march the picket lines in a historical double strike. We are witnessing an unprecedented wave of solidarity that's breaking down old barriers in the industry and proving we're all in this fight together. That doesn't happen in a vacuum, IATSE International President Matthew D. Loeb said of the vote's timing. Entertainment workers everywhere are sticking up for each other's rights. That's what our movement is all about. I congratulate these workers on taking this important step and using their collective voice. Marvel's VFX artists have made headlines in recent months as the effects for recent film and TV projects, including Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Thor: Love and Thunder, She-Hulk: Attorney at Law, and Secret Invasion, have been met with criticism. Simultaneously, a wave of artists alleged poor working conditions for Marvel projects. In a series of stories published across the internet, workers repeatedly complained about the studio's demanding post production schedules, with concerns ranging from unrelenting overtime to chronic understaffing to the inability to avoid delivering substandard work due to constantly changing deadlines. Yeah, I've talked about that in previous live streams. It's just a real chaotic and just messy way to work. And I wonder if they're going to change that going forward because it seems like they just can't keep squandering money like that. All right. So I'm coming up on an hour here. I'll do one or two more and then I'll probably wrap it up here. So what do I want to hit? Star Trek. What was that one? Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do this one. Let's have a laugh here to kind of wrap things up. Sure. Okay, this is from Bounding into Comics. Marvel's director Nia DaCosta claims film is different from other Marvel films because it's, quote, really wacky and silly, unquote. Masters Maniac Mexico says, no, they can't. Disney is doomed by their own faith. Yeah, I agree. I think, I don't know. I just think they don't learn. People in Hollywood, they just don't learn. Or if they do learn, they learn the wrong things. Yeah, who the heck wants the Marvels, right? I mean, nobody. The Marvel's director Nia DaCosta recently claimed her film sets itself apart from other Marvel Cinematic Universe fare because it's, quote, really wacky and silly, unquote. Yeah, like say Thor: Love and Thunder, or Ant-Man and Wasp, or She-Hulk, or just take your pick. DaCosta's comments came in an interview with Total Film magazine. She said, quote, the biggest difference from the other MCU movies to date is that it's really wacky and silly. The worlds we go to in this movie are worlds unlike others you've seen in the MCU, bright worlds that you haven't seen before, she elaborated. Costa previously described the film at last year's D23 Expo in a sizzle reel, saying, full comic book madness. As for her claim that the film is wacky and silly, the first teaser trailer made that abundantly clear. The trailer was overloaded with humor, humor in quotes, humor unquote, resulting from Captain Marvel, Captain Monica Rambeau, and Ms. Marvel swapping locations with each other every time they activate their abilities. However, this type of humor is nothing new from Marvel Studios, and it's wild to try and claim that somehow this sets it apart from other Marvel Studio productions. In fact, the opposite is true. This humor is part and parcel of nearly every Marvel Studios production since James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014. I mean, there were a few, but I don't think it really started kicking in hard till I would say probably Ragnarok. At that point, yeah, it started becoming kind of just standard operating procedure. It was subsequently ramped up by director Taika Waititi in both Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder. Yeah. The official description for the film states Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence, but unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with that of Jersey City superfan Kamala Khan, aka Ms. Marvel, and Carol's estranged niece, now Saber astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau. Together, this unlikely trio must team up and learn to work in concert to save the universe as the Marvels. The film stars Brie Larson, Tenona Paris, Iman Vellani, Zoe Ashton, Gary Lewis, Seo Jun Park, Zenobia Shroff, Mohan Kapoor, Sagar Sheikh, and Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, I mean, that's just, honestly, her saying that and making that claim is probably funnier than the movie will be, more than likely. I mean, it's just been that's one of my main complaints with them is it's just all such goofy silliness now. All right, I'll do one more here, and then I think I'll wrap it up. This is one I'd like to talk about, so let me bring this one up, and this is another bounding into comics story here. All right, so Star Trek actor Zachary Quinto explains why fourth Kelvin timeline film is stuck in production hell. Okay, can I get rid of this ad? There we go. Star Trek actor Zachary Quinto, who played Spock in the Kelvin timeline of films launched by director J.J. Abrams in 2009, recently explained why a planned fourth film is stuck in production hell. A fourth film in the Kelvin timeline was announced back in February 2022 by Paramount Pictures CEO Brian Robbins and Abrams. The film was expected to see the return of Chris Pine, Quinto, Simon Pegg, Carl Urban, Zoe Saldana, and John Cho. However, almost immediately after the announcement, the Hollywood Reporter's Boris Kitt reported, quote, sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that most, if not all, teams for the franchise's primary players, who include Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, Carl Urban, Zoe Saldana, and John Cho, were not aware that an announcement for another film was coming, much less that their clients would be touted as part of the deal, and certainly not that their clients would be shooting a movie by year's end. Yeah. In other words, they just made this announcement to make it look like something is happening. But this project is dead. I mean, it ain't happening. And probably it's primarily because what you call it? Star Trek Into Darkness wound up losing money. And Star Trek Beyond also wound up losing money. And so they can't get investors to invest in this film in order to fund it properly. By April of 2022, a number of actors made it clear Kit's report was more than just rumor. Quinto told the Hollywood Reporter, "I don't know that we will do it this year. I don't know when it will happen, and I'll always maintain that I would love to do it." He added, "But until I get something concrete, we're shooting this day. Here's your script. Get ready. I'm in a wait and see pattern. I'm not really attached to it in any way until I have much more definitive certainty that it's actually happening." For Quinto, Urban, who played Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, told Variety, quote, "I haven't seen a script. I know nothing. But I would love to work with those guys again. So much fun. The best hang. We'll see." Chris Pine, who played Captain Kirk, revealed to IndieWire he had yet to see a script. Quote, "I know there's a script out there somewhere and I'm waiting to see it. Looking forward to reading it. I love the group. I love the team. I love the world. Happy to go to work," he added. I mean, it sounds like the actors are up for it. As for what is causing the film to be stuck in production hell, Trek Movie reported that Quinto attended a Q&A session at the 57-year mission convention in Las Vegas where he said, quote, "I think there's a lot of other stuff, creative things. It's complicated. The fact that anything good gets made is kind of a miracle. I think it's about different people having different agendas and ideas about what it will be, and I don't know if and when it will happen." He added, "And if it coalesces again and we come back and we're able to do it, wonderful. If not, we had a great run." Great run? I mean, yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, an okay run. Interestingly, interestingly, even before the announcement of the fourth film, actor Simon Pegg told Games Radar in 2020 that he believed the entire production had lost momentum due to the death of Anton Yelchin, who played Pavel Chekhov. He said, "We've lost momentum. I think losing Anton was a huge blow to our little family, and our enthusiasm to do another one might have been affected by that. So I don't know." They also pointed to the economics of Star Trek films, comparing them to Marvel films. The fact is, Star Trek movies don't make Marvel movie. They make maybe 500 million at the most, and to make one now on the scale they've set themselves is 200 million. You have to take 3 times that to make a profit. Not only did he point to the economics of the films, but he also noted that there were problems with how the studio marketed Star Trek Beyond, the most recent Kelvin timeline film. "I don't feel like the last one, they didn't really take advantage of the 50th anniversary. The regiment at the time dropped the ball. I think he means the regime. The regime at the time dropped the ball in the promo of the film. Yeah, so, as he notes, I think, the problem is that after the first one, the other Star Trek films just weren't really profitable, and because of that, they were having difficulty getting investors to fund the movie, because if you remember when even before Star Trek Beyond came out, they announced that they were gonna do Star Trek 4, and the idea was they were gonna bring back, Chris Hemsworth, who, of course, had played George Kirk, Kirk's father, right, in the first one briefly for like 10 minutes in the first film. And this was right before he became Thor and became a big star. And so they were going to bring him back and do this time travel story where Kirk would meet his father, et cetera, et cetera. But then they couldn't get enough money together. And so they had already signed Pine and Hemsworth and maybe some of the others, I guess, I don't know, to these big fat contracts. Like, we're going to pay you this amount of money, but then they couldn't get enough money together. And so they basically told Pine and Hemsworth, hey, would you be willing? We can't pay you what we promised. Can you make a new deal where we'll pay you this? We'll pay you less. And Hemsworth and Pine basically said, go screw yourselves. And they walked off the project. And I think that's the main sticking point. And they eventually had to just abandon that whole idea. But then how many Star Trek 4s have we even heard about since then? Because there was that original thing with Kirk and his father, and then that died pretty much after Star Trek Beyond flopped. And then, and it's been like every 3 years or so we get another rumor about a new one, or they announce a new Star Trek 4 that's being worked on. Because then they had that guy, what, Josh Hawley, I think his name was, and he was going to do a Star Trek 4, and it was going to be, I forget what it was, but this is at the point where the pandemic was kind of starting to take off and proliferate, and the lockdowns were coming, and it was going to be some sort of parable to the pandemic or something like that, I think, if I remember right. And I don't think it was even necessarily going to be a Kelvin timeline story. But then, that didn't go anywhere. And then they announced another Star Trek movie, and that was going to be directed by, what's her name? A female director, something Clarkson. And of course, they made a big fuss of, oh, first Star Trek movie directed by a woman, blah, blah, blah. That went nowhere. And then you had, of course, there were the rumors about Tarantino maybe doing a Star Trek film. That never went anywhere. And then you've got this one that they announced again back like a year and a half ago that didn't go anywhere. So that's what, 4 or 5 different Star Trek 4s that they supposedly had in development that didn't go anywhere. And I think they just announce these things every few years to try and, it's to give the appearance of success. It's to give the appearance of industriousness. I remember hearing about, when George Lucas was selling Lucasfilm to Disney. Of course, he was selling them, and they were going to buy Lucasfilm from him for roughly the same thing that they paid for Marvel Studios, which was $4 billion. And of course, it's Star Wars, it's Lucasfilm, and back then, Star Wars was a much bigger deal than the MCU was. And Lucas was kind of like, well, why aren't you paying me as much as Marvel Studios? Why am I getting more money? And one of the arguments they made is, well, Lucasfilm isn't really doing anything. You don't have any movies in development. They were wrapping up Clone Wars, and that was basically it. And so he got the whole sequel thing rolling, hiring, signing like Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and some others to be in the movies, getting the scripts together, and getting the sequels rolling essentially to help increase the value of the studio. And then sold it to Disney for a little over $4 billion. I think it was like 4.25 billion or something like that. And again, I think that's part of why they keep announcing these projects. It's to keep the stock price up, because, oh, well, there's a new Star Trek movie coming. Oh, that's going to be People love Star Trek, and so that'll help buoy the stock price. But I don't think, certainly there's not going to be another Kelvin timeline movie. That's done. That's finished. All right, so coming up hour and 15 minutes here, so I will go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank everyone who tuned in for this live stream. I want to thank those who will check in during the rewatch. And if you would, please do sub to the channel and like this stream if you would. And also, hey, while you're here, check out some of my other videos. And I will see you folks on another stream probably next Sunday. Masters Maniac Mexico, thank you, sir, for being here again. Always good to see you. Appreciate you always stopping by. Hope you have a good week, sir. And I'll probably have another video out in a day or two on my channel. And y'all have a good evening. Take care.